So you say just what?
Oh, that was my signal. It's on, ready to go.
It's on.
Yeah.
This will be some good outtakes. Hi, and welcome to the channel. We're glad to have you here. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest adventures and product reviews. And if after watching this video, if you like the video, be sure to give us a thumbs up because it really helps us out. Today we're going to be talking about the GoPro Hero 7 Black and how I use it for skiing. It's taken a couple of iterations, but I think I finally found something that works well with the hypersmooth functionality and the type of skiing that we do to really capture the footage and make it such that it's not getting the rocking the boat sensation or like the jaw shuddering, shaking of everything as we go down the slopes. So we used to use the GoPro Hero 5 Black for skiing, and it just resulted in pretty good footage, but the problem was it was very shaky. And when you're going down through mogul runs or you're switching back and forth in between trees very quickly, it's just hard to keep it still, and we ended up doing a lot of post-processing effort in the videos to either slow them down to get rid of the shakiness, or actually just cutting clips out that we really wanted to include in the videos because they were just too shaky to watch. They'd almost hurt your brain when you're trying to watch them. So we've recently upgraded to the GoPro Hero 7 Black specifically for the hypersmooth functionality. It's supposed to get rid of all the problems that we've had with our GoPro Hero 5 Black, and we had very high hopes for it. GoPro Hero 7 Black with hypersmooth is great, but it does have a cropping issue. In order for hypersmooth to work, it actually has to crop part of the frame that it's shooting, and you end up with a smaller field of view than you actually would have like with our GoPro Hero 5 Black. But, it's a side effect of actually getting the hypersmooth to work, and it's something that we had to learn to deal with. So we went through a couple iterations of exactly how we were going to mount the GoPro Hero 7 Black while we were skiing. We tried out helmet mounts, a backpack strap mount, and finally landed on a chest mount. I think the chest mount really gives you the best point of view and frame of reference. It allows you to see the hand movement and ski pole movement, as well as your skis and sometimes even your knees when you get into deep powder and deep bumps. And it really gives you that kind of first-person feel like you're actually there skiing and not just, kind of above the view like you normally get with a helmet mount. So the chest mount that we decided on is the Stuntman Chest Mount. We decided not to go with the GoPro Chesty because I've heard too many problems that it in itself is not very stable because it just doesn't have a big enough platform. Whereas the Stuntman Chest Mount is a pretty large mount that really butts up to your breastplate and allows you to really cinch it down and keep it nice and stable on your body. So your body might shake, but the chest mount itself is not going to. GoPro has since released an updated version of the Chesty mount, but it's still not as big and kind of rigid as this Stuntman Chest Mount. So I think we still made the right choice here. So the second part of the equation to our setup is having the GoPro in the Super Suit. So it's the plastic waterproof housing, and you think, why do I need a waterproof housing? The GoPro Hero 7 Black in itself is waterproof. Well, it is, but you're also taking it into a pretty extreme environment with extreme cold and extreme risk of breakage. If you fall while you're skiing at 30 miles an hour down a steep chute and there's rocks all around you, if that camera hits a rock, it's done. And that's $400 down the drain. So the Super Suit, which I think was around maybe $40 or $50 when we bought it, seems like a great investment. However, it comes with one problem. If you put the camera in the Super Suit, there are no audio ports. You cannot acquire audio from the camera, which is a real problem for the type of videos that we've been shooting, where we want to be able to talk while we're skiing and interact with our viewers. So that was another problem I had to solve. Okay, so to solve the problem of audio in the Super Suit, I had to go reach for my power drill. So I actually took my power drill and located the ports, the audio ports. So there are 3 microphone ports on the GoPro. And I went through and actually drilled small pilot holes to make sure that I had it properly aligned with those mics, and then drilled much larger holes, like 4 times the size of the microphones themselves, to give it nice wide open audio ports. Once I had those audio ports open, I covered them with Micover windscreen cover, so basically a stick-on dead cat cover, so that it allows it to kind of cut down on that wind noise that you would potentially get. So once I had the audio ports drilled out and the Micover windscreen covers applied, everything seemed to be working really well. And I think the reason is that The microphones themselves are extremely protected from the wind. So they're actually inside the body of the Super Suit and covered by the dead cat windscreens. So they have like a double layer of protection versus like a lot of people, they'll have their GoPros, just open to the elements with the dead cats attached on top of it. And it works, but the microphones themselves can still pick up a lot of wind noise. And this whole setup has seemed to work really well. We've gotten very stable, hypersmooth footage. We get pretty clear audio out of a Hero 7 Black.
I haven't even been asking her to get on the harder stuff, and she's just like tackling it all. It's awesome. Sometimes it's not just her, but it's easy to get in the habit of hitting the easy runs.
The audio has really come through very well with minimal post-processing to try to just amplify it a little bit. And part of the reason why we have to amplify it is I don't want to sound like an idiot skiing down the mountain talking to myself. So I want to be able to talk to myself at a normal volume while I'm, capturing things about, my thoughts on the ski run or describing an area of the mountain. And I don't want to be yelling at the camera and having everyone around me staring at me and saying, "What's that crazy guy doing?" So it's nice to be able to talk at a somewhat normal volume and have this camera pick it up. I think GoPro has really nailed this camera, and I'm super glad that we upgraded from the Hero 5 Black. One other reason that we chose to keep the GoPro in the Super Suit housing is not just for impact protection, but also for additional freeze prevention. So even though the GoPro itself will not freeze out in the icy conditions and snowy conditions of skiing, the batteries will. And lithium-ion batteries do not work well in cold conditions. So by keeping the GoPro in the housing, it helps protect it from some of the wind chill and just the cold in general, and helps extend the life of the batteries. And if you've ever tried to use a GoPro in really cold conditions, you'll know that the battery life is cut in half, even with a brand new battery. And for us, when we're skiing, 6 to 8 hours a day, I don't want to carry around 15 batteries. I want to be able to swap the batteries maybe once at lunch and maybe once again if we are doing a lot of filming. And the only way I've been able to do that is to keep it inside the Super Suit. And there are occasions when it's really cold and really windy that even the Super Suit doesn't quite cut it. The batteries still tend to die, and you've probably heard this if you've watched some of my other videos, that the batteries died unexpectedly, and then we take them back inside at lunch and look at the charge rate again, and it's at 80% charge. It's kind of frustrating, but it's it's a lithium ion problem, not necessarily a GoPro problem, but it's something GoPro could work on, and I wish they would. I had a couple other problems that had to be addressed with this. So one was a rattling or clicking sound that I could not for the life of me figure out where it was coming from. And trial and error, I finally realized where it was, and it was the buckling mechanism that actually attaches the Stuntman Chest Mount to your body. So when I snapped that buckle together, it had a little bit of play in it, and all of the Stuntman Chest Mount straps are a little stretchy, so it allows it to move as your body moves, and it was causing the buckle itself to rattle inside the latch. In order to address that, I reached into my, knowledge of how hacking stuff together and making things work, and reached for the soft side of some Velcro strips and applied it to the entire buckle area. So that way when you slide the buckle in, it just has a little bit of almost like a felt type, material that it slides into, and kind of took up that dead space that was in there and doesn't allow the buckle to move anymore. It does make the buckle kind of hard to latch, and we have to be careful with it to make sure it does actually latch, but it solved the problem. And the last problem that I had to address was being able to angle the camera properly. So the Stuntman Chest Mount comes with a couple different options for mounting your camera to it, and it has this really nice ball head that gives you total freedom of movement of the camera, but I don't like the ball head specifically because it's very hard to properly level the camera. Like, I want my mount to be leveled all the time, and I just attach the camera to it. I don't want to have to think about, is the mount level and is the camera going to be level on the mount? I just want to attach the camera and go. So I got rid of the ball mount and just used the hard mount that attaches to a standard GoPro mount. However, it pushes the GoPro itself too close to the body of the Stuntman Chest Mount. And part of the problem when you are skiing is that you tend to kind of lean forward a little bit, which slopes the chest mount down, and it ends up pointing the camera at the ground. So you lose the horizon, and you get a good shot of your skis in the snow, but you can't really tell what's going on because you've lost that horizon. So you need to be able to actually tilt the camera back to account for the fact that it's no longer pointing straight out. And in order to do that, you have to bring the camera out away from the chest mount slightly. So I used a very small GoPro mount extension. You can get them anywhere on Amazon or at Walmart and other places like that. Link to all of the products and things that we talked about here and down in the description below. But just that little extension arm gives me just maybe an inch clearance between the camera and the Stuntman Chest Mount. And that allowed me to give it the range of motion that it needed, where I can tilt it back a little bit while I'm skiing to re-level the camera. Or if I'm wanting to get a good shot of my skis, I can angle it down and really get a clear shot of my knees and my skis for some action shots, or anything in between. Okay, so that about wraps it up for our setup for how we use the GoPro Hero 7 Black with hypersmooth for our skiing videos. And we'll have some links to some of those videos, so if you haven't seen them, give you a chance to check them out, and we hope you enjoy them. And we hope you liked this review. This is our very first product review. I've never done this type of interview style before. I'm sure I'm going to sound weird and look weird and have some things that I need to work on. Would love some feedback and some comments. We really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it helps you film your skiing adventures. We use the same setup for mountain biking as well, and it works awesome for mountain biking. I know like a lot of the big YouTube mountain bikers like BKXC and the Single Track Sampler, they use gimbals, and they still use gimbals even with the Hero 7 Blackout. And they do it for a good reason. Their videos are very cinematic, but in some ways, it might be a little overly cinematic. I really enjoy watching their channels, don't get me wrong. They're awesome, and they're super good riders. But I like the more natural feel that the Hero 7 Black gives you. It gets rid of all those little micro vibrations, but still keeps the bigger movements in play, where a gimbal like smooths out everything. So I think for me, this is just the right camera setup to record our more action type sports of skiing and mountain biking. So thanks for watching this video. We hope you liked it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. It helps out our channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. We've got lots more ski videos coming out. We'll be spending the majority of our season at Snowbird, but we'll also be traveling to other resorts all across the Utah area, and potentially maybe taking a trip outside of Utah. I'm not sure yet. So again, thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you next time.